Hey everybody, this is Dan from Pain Free You. Today I have the pleasure of sitting with Misty Weinheimer from Nashville, Tennessee. And Misty's got a long journey with TMS and what I call perceived danger pain. And she volunteered to share her story to hopefully inspire some other people with how far she's come, how she got out of the depths of symptoms, and is back to leading a normal life. So, Misty, welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you willing to share your story.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell a little story? Where you been? How did it go? What you experienced, and we'll let it roll from there.
Okay. Well, um, my name's Misty Weinheimer, as you said, and I've struggled. Well, I don't. I did struggle with chronic pain for about 15 years. Um, and also, just because I'm a lot more familiar with chronic pain, I know I had those symptoms earlier in my life as well. And back when I was junior high, elementary, stuff like that. Um, but about 15 years ago, I was on a 16-mile run, and afterwards I started feeling numb and tingling. And just over time, it progressed and got worse to where I needed to go to a doctor and had um, the scans, MRIs,
Sure.
all that stuff done. And so I got put on, it started with lower tab, and that helped a lot. And I was able to just to continue my life how I was. And I didn't never told my husband or anybody about it. And he really didn't even know that I was taking medication. He thought maybe once in a while or whatever. But the reason for that was because I didn't want to burden him. I had a job to do. I have had two young kids. I had a handicapped child. I was responsible for a lot. And um, and my husband worked full time. He had a lot on his plate, very involved at church. So I didn't want to put that on him, and I wanted to, carry my load.
Well,
So I did, but I knew there would come a time where that wasn't sustainable and I would break. But I figured I would just keep going until that point.
wow.
And so that lasted several years. And I got to the point where I was taking 4 Percocets a day. And um, there were some events that led up to where I eventually had a breakdown. And it was awful because it happened when I went to go for my brother's wedding, and my entire family was there. And
Wow.
I did not like
Yeah.
that because
I
I was extremely vulnerable, but at the same time felt I had to keep myself together because I was around family. So you can't really just feel and be real with the situation.
right.
So, so I just had a complete breakdown, and pain came so intensely, so bad. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I was crawling around. I couldn't sit. I couldn't lay down unless I had myself elevated so high that like my tailbone and sacrum couldn't even touch. And um, I remember my sister Wendy told me, Miss, because I was supposed to go to her house afterwards. And I felt bad because we had this whole thing planned. And so she could tell that I wasn't doing very well. And she said, Misty, if you need to go home because you're hurting so bad, she says, go home. And I said, okay. And they gave me permission.
Sure.
And so I called my husband, and um, he changed my flights around so that I could go home. And it was a very difficult trip. It was extremely painful. I remember on a flight throughout that day, I took around 8 Percocets and it didn't even do anything. I couldn't sit in the seat. I would like be on my knees and put my elbows on the seat of the airplane. And it was just awful. I had a wheelchair, had to wheel me from flights. I remember I did have his other sister with me and she was carrying my stuff, but she also had a baby with her without her stuff. And it was just awful.
So
And
were you given a diagnosis from doctors, or had you not gone down that path?
I really hadn't had anything. It's just like he saw like a slight bulge in my disc, but that could cause you pain, that could not. They don't
Okay.
know.
So no real solution coming out of the medical world.
No, just right now, just pain medicine. And
Okay.
so um after I had a breakdown, I came home and I really don't even remember the next 3 weeks. I thought it had been 1 week. And my husband says, Missy, you've been home for 3 weeks. And I said, I have. And that's how much pain you're in, that your brain's protecting you and you don't remember. But I knew my reality was slipping away and it was very, very scary.
I bet.
And so my husband, I remember as soon as I got home, he took me to the sports doctor that I was going to, and they thought maybe I had a ruptured disc because of how much pain I was in and I couldn't walk. My husband had to wheel me and help me, and it was really bad.
Right.
And but there was nothing. There was nothing. And so he didn't know what to do. And so eventually I found your only option really is, because of the legal system or whatever, and how the medical society works, you have to go to a pain clinic. And so I went there. They did, everything they could, scans, MRIs, and there was really nothing that they could find. And so I just had to be put on medication. And I was on a lot of medication. But I needed it at the time because that was the only tool I had.
For sure.
And so I did physical therapy. Physical therapy did nothing. Um, and I actually ended up spending about 4 years of my life in bed, except for getting out of bed to go to doctors or, um, getting myself food. My husband and my daughter had to take over every single thing I did. And my husband said he didn't realize how much I did.
The
So,
one benefit, but not really a benefit.
yeah. So, and I felt horrible. I just felt bad for them. I felt sorry for them. And I felt horrible that I couldn't carry my own weight. So
Sure.
my 15-year-old daughter had to now take care of my handicapped son, and
Mm.
my husband and her shared the responsibilities of the house. And my husband told me, your only job right now, Misty, is to go to doctors and get yourself better. That's your job. I don't care for you to do anything else except for try and get better, see what you, yes. And that actually gave me a lot of comfort because I knew he didn't expect me to do anything. And it gave me permission just to go take care of myself and not worry about anything else. But of course you do.
Of course.
Um, so just my path through that was I had been to several different pain clinics because, some will stop taking insurance, so you have to go find a different one. And then some, end up committing fraud, and then you have to go to a different one.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. So, but during my journey, um, what I was able to use was medication, which was very helpful because I was in so much pain that I mean, you can be in so much pain that you die. And it was intolerable. I couldn't sleep. It's just too much for one physical human to endure. And so and then as I got different pain management doctors, I learned more and more. And one was I started having a caudal epidural, which is where they would go because your tailbone's actually hollow, and they would go in and shoot steroid up there to help numb the area. So I started having those, and those helped. And then in addition to that, I started learning about nerve ablations. So then they would go along my sacrum, and along those big branches of nerves that come out, they would go and they would ablate nerves. And so that numbed the whole area and helped my legs. And that helped a lot. And so when I got to that point, I started being active again because I had just gained so much weight. I got close to 190 pounds, give or take, which is a lot. And so I started moving again, and having those injections allowed me to be able to start moving again. And then after about 4 years, I was able to start weaning myself off of medication because I felt like I was ready and I no longer needed that amount of medication.
Right.
And so I just weaned off very slowly. And when I first started weaning off, it was Oxycontin that I was taking in addition to Percocet and other stuff. And as I weaned off over a year's period of time off of all the Oxy I was on, I actually trained for a half marathon. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to take something back that was taken away from me because I was a marathon runner and I've always been an athlete. And so I did those two things at the same time. And I had a wonderful lady who was my guardian angel at that time. And she helped get me out there running because it was an extremely painful experience. But I knew I could do it, and it gave me strength. And I did it. It was the slowest half marathon I had ever run, but I did it. And at the end of that half marathon, I was off all my Oxy.
Wow.
And then I gave myself a break. And then after that, I started weaning very slowly off of Percocet. And I didn't do these things until I was mentally ready and prepared to do them. And I felt physically that I could, every time I would feel better and better physically. So I felt like I don't need as much medication. So I can wean off and then progress more physically.
Right.
And I did. And this lasted over I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And
So at this point, had you
I
even
sorry, go
at
ahead.
this, at this point had you even heard about the mind body concept, Dr.
No,
Barno, or any of that? Okay.
no, I didn't know anything about that. I mean, sometimes you would hear like so-called pain clinics, they wouldn't give you any medication and they wouldn't prescribe you medication, but they had a different way about going about it. But to me, I was just like, I'm not going to go to you and then I no longer can take medication and you want me to do this physical therapy and stuff. I didn't believe that that would work.
Understood. Okay.
And so, and also uh, after I had a breakdown, the breakdown, it was about 9 months later. It was December of that year. I had a breakdown in, it was either March or April. And in December that year, I had gotten so low that felt like I was in the deepest, darkest hole.
Right.
And for the first time in my life, I did not know how to help myself. And that was a scary thought to myself because I've been through very traumatic experiences before and I've been able to get through them.
Right.
And this time I could not. And I felt like there was just a tornado going on above this hole. And the life was just circling around me. And I was just stuck down there. And I knew that if I did not get help immediately, it was either I end this and commit suicide or I get help now. And for me, suicide wasn't an answer because I could not do that to my family.
Good.
I couldn't do that to my husband, my kids, my siblings, my parents, my
Sure.
nephews and nieces, because I have seen how suicide destroys lives.
Sure.
It is no good, no bueno. So I told my husband this, and he immediately got me help. And I immediately started seeing my therapist. And so I saw him every single week for years and years and years. And the last time I talked to him was just this, past September or something. I rarely talk to him now, but for many, many years I talked to him constantly.
Right.
And so the first time I did everything that doctors told me, anything I could try, I tried anything. And I just kept trying to get myself better. And everything I tried helped. It helped me along the way. But I was still on this roller coaster ride because it wasn't solving anything. It was just helping.
Temporary.
Yes, it was very temporary. And I mean, I was in so much pain. I was happy for them to stick big, huge needles in my back. I'm like, I can't wait to get the noodles. I was just like, I don't care if you know me or not, just get it done. And so where was I at the end? Okay, so I did all this. It helped me along the way. I was able to
Mhm.
get off more and more medication, like my Percocet. And I think I was down to 2 Percocets, and I was on a lot of gabapentin, Flexerol, uh, um, and what's that? Meloxicam. And so Wendy had told me about this because she started listening to a podcast. I think it was Curable.
Yeah.
Okay, and in that she was telling me about Curable and all that stuff. And to me, I just thought that I was like, okay, whatever. I don't see how that's gonna help me. I just didn't know, and it seemed too
Sure.
overwhelming. And then she told me about Dr. Sarno. I think she was telling me about the book she was reading. This was my sister Wendy, who is in
Yeah.
the group right
Yeah. I
now.
know Wendy.
Yes. And then I saw Wendy at Thanksgiving time because she had told me about it around late summer, early
Hmm.
end of summer, or something. And then I saw her at Thanksgiving time, and she was a completely different person. She was playing lightning with all the family. I mean, she was not like she had been doing because we've gone through this journey together
Right.
because she had gotten sick right after, like a year later after I did. And so we've been able to help each other. And when I saw the change that had happened in her, I went home and in December, I called her and I asked her, okay, Wendy, what are you listening to? What books are you reading? Because I actually see evidence. Like for me, you just tell me about something and I've been trying everything in the whole damn world. And I needed to see evidence, and I saw that evidence in her. And so she told me about the first book Dr. Sarno did about back pain.
Yeah, healing back pain.
Yes. So I don't read, and I read so slow, and it would take me forever, and I just needed to soak up the information and the knowledge. So I got audiobooks and I listened to the book, and I listened to the book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so me. This is what's going on. I 100% have TMS. 100%. And I believed it. And so from that point on, I decided, all right, I'm done. I was scheduled to go in for another ablation, caudal epidural, and I canceled them. I didn't do them. And I still went to the chiropractor a little, but I really limited because I was going several times a week
Wow.
for,
Forever.
yes. And so I quit. I tried hard to not do that. And so I actually would make myself space it out. And over probably 5 months or so, I quit doing the chiropractor. It took me a while to not go to the chiropractor.
Sure.
But during that time, I no longer went every week. I would space it out
Mhm.
and just went very few times.
Yeah.
And I was reading all about it in December, and I started weaning more off of my Percocet. And then in January, I thought, okay, I've been weaning off medication for years. And I'm like, I know this is going to suck. But for me, I just rather get stuff done rather than taking forever, because I just want to hurry up and get better. I've been in this rat race for way too long. And so I quit taking all that medication. I was also I was also on clonazepam too. And so I decided to just quit all the Percocet, the clonazepam. I went off all my gabapentin. I went off meloxicam. I went off everything.
All right. So I just want to say time out. For anybody listening, this is not a recommendation.
No,
This
this
is
is
what
just what.
Misty has done. However, medications, we're not just supposed to stop cold turkey. It's
No,
just
no,
it's
I
it's
yes.
not advised. So this is not a recommendation for you to go cold turkey like she did. This is her story, but not what you should do. Work with your doctors, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. You can continue. I just had to make that disclaimer that I don't want
Oh,
people to go, oh yeah, she went off her meds. I'm gonna quit.
oh
There
no,
can
just
be
yeah.
complications.
No, and I actually ended up I was going I it was it was horrible. And I was going crazy. And every before like it ended up during this breakdown time that I hurt everywhere. I hurt from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. Every single part of me had pain. And I had arthritis, degeneration in my hip. You know, I
Well,
had
that's what they told you.
yeah, I have all the these things, but I knew that that didn't have to cause me pain, because it's my subconscious telling my body to hurt. And so I quit doing everything. I went off all my meds, but I started going crazy. And so I decided, okay, Misty, you have to take your clonazepam. So I started taking my clonazepam, and I said, okay, you can't just not have any Percocet. So I went back on a half a per. I went on 5 milligrams back onto Percocet because it wasn't a good idea, and so I had to give myself a little bit of
Okay.
leeway there. And so it was pretty excruciating all of it. And I was working the TMS. I was watching you, Dan, and I was reading more of the books, and me and Wendy would talk. And I just worked it. I believed in it. I quit doing all the stuff I was doing. And at about after 4 months, I was going crazy. And I told my husband, I said, I need to leave because I can't stay here. I'm not doing good in the head or anything. And it's a result of going off so much medication and still dealing with pain, but it will
Right.
get better. And so I didn't tell anybody I was going. The only people who knew I was going, I talked to my brother and I said, I need somewhere to go for 2 weeks. Can I come to your house? I don't want anybody to know I'm here because I have a lot of siblings in Utah. Because I don't need to, all I needed to do was go somewhere I could just work on myself and
Mhm.
help get myself through this without any distractions. And so I went, and it was awesome. I read, I studied my scriptures, I prayed, I meditated, I walked. I was able to be around my brother and his wife, Christy, and um, they didn't ask me anything. They just let me do, you know, and and it was really, really good. And at the end of the 2 weeks, it was good. I could go back home and then continue. And so, yeah. And so from there, I just continued to get better and better and better. And I have just, it was when you started your group.
Yeah, that was June
So,
of 21.
yeah. So in June of 21, because I went off everything in January of 21. So in June, you started your group, and I knew I needed more help. And so I signed up for your group the first time I was on there. And so I did that every week, and it was helping a lot. It was very, very helpful to have that group support. And I'm not a group person. I don't do groups. I don't do that stuff because I don't want to listen to people's crap and whining and blah, blah, blah. You know,
Mhm.
just like, yeah. You need support, not a bunch of whiny babies that don't do anything about it. I'm not into that. So the group was amazing. And I'm so grateful for that group. And I'm grateful for my sister Wendy because without her, I would not be where I am today.
Yeah. Well, you're blessed that she led the way. She showed you what's possible.
I am.
And just in defense of the group is not a bunch of whiny people. There's a lot of successes shared, there's a lot of victories, a lot of support, and we really do minimize, I guess, inflammatory language. We don't talk about, excruciating pain and
Yeah.
burning. We
Yeah.
were like colorful sensations.
Yeah.
That's the type of language, and we really downplay the complaining because that doesn't benefit anybody,
Mm-mm.
not even the person complaining. And we really focus on wins, answering questions, and solutions. And
Yeah.
so, for anybody who's worried about, oh, I don't want to join the group and hear everybody complain, it's really not that. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to clarify, make sure people didn't interpret that that's what this was all about.
Oh, no, that's why I actually stayed with the group because it
Mhm.
was not that. If it had been that, I would have been gone. But
Yeah,
it
as
was,
you should have been.
yeah, it was,
Nobody wants that.
yeah, it was positive. You could help other people. Other people could help you. You learned. And most of all, what I found out with the group was that I was not alone.
Hmm.
I was not alone. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone. There were other people that were feeling what I was feeling and in the same situation. And that was very helpful. And So even a couple months after that, I told my sister, Misty, I've been doing the group with Dan. I said, you really should try it. And she waited, she waited a couple months, and I would send her some of the recordings and stuff so she could see how it was. And then she joined, and she's still with your group today.
Yeah, she still is. I
Yeah.
see her every week.
Yeah. So by the end of the year, I think I stopped the group because I felt I had gotten everything that I could out of the group, and I wanted to move on. And I was starting to live my life and not be afraid. I was doing things that I was afraid to do because I was afraid of getting hurt or afraid of the pain or just whatever. So I really just did things that I was afraid of doing before. And I started living my life and without fear. And I started having a good time. I started having vacations that were better than before. So they were corrective experiences. I was afraid to go on my brother's boat to go surfing with them, wake surfing the year before. And so I'm like, I'm going wake surfing this summer. So
I think you even posted a video.
I did.
That's
It,
awesome. In the Facebook group. Misty shared that, so I remember.
yeah. And so I went out and I wake surfed, and, I crashed, but you know what? I had absolutely no fear. I didn't fear getting hurt. All I did was have a good time. And I knew, if you're going to crash, just relax your body. Don't tense up, just let it be. And that's when you don't get hurt.
Sure.
And so I had the best time. And I was able to do it 2 times, like 2 different days. So that was a lot of fun. And
Weren't you also jumping on a trampoline at one point too?
yes, because I used to jump on our trampoline at home. We got one when I was like 12.
Right.
And I used to just flip, 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 like do 10 flips in a row, like, bounce, flip, change. You just, we call us the flipping Barneys because
Right.
my brother Ben has a trampoline, all his kids flip, and we get on the trampoline, we like to flip around. But I stopped doing that because of my lower back and spine. So when I was at my brother's house, I got on his trampoline and just um started doing flips and just having a good time and didn't worry about it, and I was fine. It was awesome, and I had a good time. um
So
so
from
that's
bedridden to backflips on a trampoline.
Yeah,
Awesome.
surfing, yeah, and running half marathons.
Cool.
Even
And
when it was hurting, I still did it because it didn't make a difference.
and so how are you doing these days?
So I um I actually, as time went on and I was getting off, just slowly getting off more of my Percocet, it ended up with me struggling more and more um, with being able to function. And I'm like, okay, I'm on hardly any Percocet. Why is this becoming harder and harder for me to function? I couldn't see a future. I didn't know what to do with myself. And this was just all the way up until July this year. And I went back to my therapist and I said, I'm struggling. I should be doing better. I should be doing better mentally. I'm not on all this stuff. I feel better. I'm in less pain. And I found out that I have ADHD. So
Okay.
whether people have labels or not, my brain was not functioning properly and I knew it. And my brain felt like, and this was all caused of the pain, the trauma, all of this did this to my brain. And because I was not like this before. You would say I was a functioning person with ADHD that didn't know it. But as I look back, I can see everything. Explains a lot. Um, but so it felt in my head like all the lights were off. And I just couldn't move on from this, no matter how hard I tried. And I was like, this is TMS, yada, yada, yada. But nothing was working. And so I started thinking about the ADHD. And in July, I started taking medication for ADHD, and all the lights went on in my head. It was amazing. And from then on, I still do TMS. That's not the answer for all of this. This is just one little thing that I needed at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like all the lights turned on, my brain booted up again, because inside my brain, it was like all my thoughts were just swirling around like a tornado in my head, and I couldn't grab any one thing to do. I couldn't do a task. After 10 minutes, I'd go back. It's awful. And it's like you can't even focus on anything. And so I got put on some medication, and from then on, I have soared. I see my future. I am so happy. Instead of feeling like life was unusual pain and suffering, that's what I felt life was. That
Right.
there's really no point. I just existed. I love living. I feel joy again. I love life. I'm full of energy. I can do whatever the hell I want. And I have just taken on, and I have taken off, and I am busy. I do so much. I do a lot of work on the farm with the animals. I love being on a farm, which we've been on a farm for a little while, but I really didn't help with anything because I couldn't.
Sure.
But now I do a lot more. And, I love going out there. Part of my journey was, and things that helped me was, I would just go outside and just sit amongst the animals. It was quiet. I was around goats. I was around sheep. I was around the dogs. When we have litters, I'm around puppies. I was around chickens. And you
Mm-hmm.
just get to listen to all of them, hear them, watch them coexist in peace together. And it just brings so much peace to your home and your land. And so that's what I would do to help me. And I got a pair of binoculars, some nice binoculars, and I would sit and watch my animals through the binoculars, because they don't always let you get very close to them.
Sure.
And so I would observe, and I've learned so much about animals, their behaviors, what they look like when they go into heat, when they're pregnant, when they're ready, when just the chickens, all of them. And it's very fascinating to me. I love it.
I'm
And
sure.
it's just it's just more knowledge, and I get to learn more. And I just continue to do that, and I do that today. And I love going out there and just cleaning up all the goat and sheep poop, because I can be out there in the nature, and it's better for them, because I do it where they sleep at night, so they're not sleeping in their own filth, because that causes diseases. And making sure that it's more clean than it has been in the
Yeah.
past.
Makes
And
sense.
I like it because I'm helping take care of them. And it's something for me to do outside, because I'd rather be outside than be in this house.
Sure.
Because I've spent way too much time in this
Mhm.
house and on the couch and in front of the TV. And I rarely watch TV, where I
Yeah,
spent
years.
24/7 watching TV. I rarely watch TV. And
So,
now,
so
if
how
I,
are you feeling these days?
what?
How are you feeling these days physically?
I feel great. Um, I I'm on just a tiny bit of Percocet, and I actually forget a lot of times to take it,
That's
because
good.
I don't have a lot of pain. And I'm just taking it right now to get through holidays, and in January I'll be done. Then that way I don't have anything on the books because I was traveling to Hawaii, and my husband's like, please don't be going off more before we go to Hawaii. So
That's
I agreed to wait till January, and then I can just be done with it, and I'll be off all of that, the rest of my pain medicine.
that's fantastic. So you basically got your life back.
I do. I have my life back. It was a very long journey, but I am grateful for that journey because I have changed significantly. Even before the pain journey, before that, I had had journeys with having premature babies and babies in the hospital and having a handicapped son. And I learned a lot. I
Right.
learned compassion for people. I learned that people actually have feelings and hurt, which I did not learn as a kid. It was, suck it up and move on. There was no compassion. And I learned that. And then through this experience, the most, this has been the hardest thing I have had to go through in my life. And I've had to go through some hard things. And this has been really hard and challenging.
Yeah.
And I have learned on a deeper level compassion. I can feel other people's pain. I know what it feels like.
But also compassion for yourself, though.
Yes, give grace to myself and not think you're a loser because I'm not. I'm not a loser. I'm a woman with a lot of talent, and I have a lot to offer people with through my own experiences. And
Right.
I know how to comfort those that need it. I know what to say to people. And um, I've been able to do that for others. I come in contact with people and I'm able to give them a few words or share. And I've had people say, I know I was meant to talk to you today. Thank you for sharing. And, I made them feel better or whatever. And it was only because of these experiences
Sure.
that I'm able to help others and just be able to be there for other people and be there for other family members that I have that are struggling as
Yep.
well. And yeah, so it's been an amazing journey. And and if you're on the fence about TMS, or if you just have anxiety, if you have bipolar, whatever it is, this helps you. It doesn't matter because it's all about retraining your subconscious brain.
Hmm.
And if you can train your subconscious brain, you are capable of moving mountains. There are miracles to see. I am a freaking miracle.
Yes, you are.
I
So, unless you've got anything else you want to share, I think this was fantastic. And even though I've known you since a year ago, June, I heard things about your journey that I didn't really know. Because primarily in the group sessions, which is where Misty and I really spent time getting to know each other, we don't really sit there and talk about everybody's symptoms and journeys and medical treatments and everything else. It's for people who understand what the TMS, or what I call perceived danger pain, is, um, and are looking for solutions and help in implementing the strategies and concepts to reverse the pain. So, this was interesting for me too, Misty, because I didn't know all of these details, even though I've known you for close to a year and a half.
and there are other details, but I just I don't share it all because for one, people don't need to know every single detail.
No.
This is the most I have shared about this at all.
Yeah.
And you also don't know things that I've gone through in the past that were extremely traumatizing. And I don't share all those things because, and I actually don't even tell people I have a handicapped son
Yeah.
because I don't want people to feel sorry for me or him. I don't need people's pity. And
Right.
there's nothing to feel bad about because I am blessed. I am blessed to have somebody who is mentally retarded living in my home because with that comes my family grows in different directions. You learn things that you can't learn without that
Right.
special spirit and person being in your home. And he is a gift. He is a gift. That doesn't mean that it's not challenging at all.
Right. No, I
That
get it.
doesn't mean that I don't have mental worry constantly because he depends on us for his survival. And but I don't tell people that because people automatically are, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It is not that. And so I don't need to hear that from people. And um, you know, I don't feel sorry for my son. He's a wonderful person. And are you kidding me? He has the life. We do
Yeah.
everything for him. He just eats, has his phone. He knows how to work an iPhone. He doesn't know how to speak or do arithmetic or anything like that. He can't bathe himself, but he can work an iPhone and go to YouTube and do all
Cool.
sorts of stuff. So I mean,
Cool.
he is a happy boy, and that is all I care about because
Nice.
all that is important in life is happiness. And it's not if he can play soccer, it's not if he can be married, give me grandkid children. That's not the point.
Sure.
And so it's wonderful. And what I have gone through has been, I would go through it again because I want to be the person I am today without it. And so I am grateful for the experience. I want to say I
Awesome.
enjoyed it. I
No,
wouldn't,
it wasn't fun, but
no, but
there's definitely lessons learned, and
I'm a better
we become,
person.
yeah, we become different people. And hey, look at me. I mean, I
Yeah.
went through 13 years of pain, and I'm blessed to have this opportunity to share what I've learned with a pretty big audience. So
Yeah.
this success story is going to absolutely reach a lot of people, thousands of people, many thousands, I'm sure. Um, and putting your story out there is wonderful. I really appreciate you doing that.
So I would just, if I could, I'd just like to anybody who sees this story, success story, anybody can be a success. All it takes is you deciding, oh, I'm going to be a success or I'm going to stay stuck in the mud. For me, I didn't want to be stuck in the mud from the very beginning, so I continued constantly to try to fight something. And I finally found something that actually solved the problem.
Because it's how the problem originates in the first place. You
Yes,
found the accurate reason for all of your symptoms and pain. And once you get that, you stop with all the medical treatments, you stop with all the exercises, PT, and all that kind of stuff, because that wasn't really going after the problem. The problem is created by the brain perceiving danger in our lives.
yes.
So once you found the accurate thing and then you started to apply the concepts, that's when you were able to really regain your life and start living again and get out of the bed. And, before you know it, you're doing backflips and half marathons and taking care of, your farm. And so
Can I
I'm
share?
really,
Do we have
yeah,
time? I want to share one more experience that just happened recently.
sure.
So, my husband and I and Wendy, my sister and her husband Nathan, we went to Hawaii and we spent 12 days there, and it was so much fun. I did hiking, snorkeling, we did parasailing. Um, we just had such a good time. We did so many things. And I was able to just go, 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 go. Like my husband and I, we did so much stuff. And it felt great. This is the first vacation my husband and I have had together in, I don't know, 15 years or so, where
Wow.
I could just go and be okay and have a good time. And we didn't have to lay in bed because I had migraines or whatever. I was okay. I was healthy. I could just do whatever, and I wasn't an issue. But
That's
on
awesome.
but on one of our hikes, I got in the car after one of our hikes, and as soon as I sat in the car, I felt my back, around my hips, my waist, everything seizing up tension. And I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I know nothing happened to me. Nothing's wrong. All I did was go for a hike. I didn't hurt myself. I did nothing. And so I sat in there. I'm like, all right, this is just TMS. This is just TMS. And so I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell Wendy. I didn't tell anybody what I was feeling because it actually was very painful. And I was having a hard time walking. And this would happen to me before, and it would put me in bed for at least a week and take 3 weeks to recover from it. And it would put me in bed to where I couldn't even step on
Sure.
my feet. But when this happened, I'm like, this is TMS. I know what it is. I have felt this many a times.
Right.
And so I said, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm going to be indifferent about it. And I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And I continued to just do what we were doing. I did have a little bit of a hard time walking, and it was painful every time I walked, but I just this TMS, and I know tomorrow I'll be fine. It'll just go away. The next day, I was fine. It all went away because it
Yeah.
was TMS. It's just my brain trying to reinforce what I was doing and saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know?
Yeah. You're doing dangerous stuff. Cut it out. Slow down.
Yeah. And I said, "No, I'm fine. I know it will go away. This will pass."
Yeah.
And it did. And I did not stop what I was doing. I did
Yeah.
not stop what I was doing. I did not let give into that.
And the reason it worked, Misty, is because you remained clear on what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
You were confident that that's what was going on, and you remained calm. You basically did not buy into the old habits and patterns of fear. You didn't give in to the fear, and you didn't say, "Oh my God, I got to go back to the room and rest." You basically said, "No, there's nothing wrong." And when you did that, you responded perfectly, and your brain says, "Holy crap, look at her. There's nothing wrong. I guess I can let go of this pain. She doesn't need a warning because she's not concerned at all." So
Yeah.
for anybody who is experiencing an onset of symptoms that kind of catches you off guard, follow Misty's lead because she responded perfectly. Clarity. This is what's going on. It's TMS, perceived danger. The brain's just trying to slow me down and warn me that I'm doing too much, but I know I wasn't. So I kept going. I was calm. I didn't freak out. I didn't talk about it. And by the next day, it was gone. So that's brilliant. It's a great way to wrap this up.
So anyone who's on this journey or even thinking about it, do it because the end result is amazing and wonderful. And, it took me almost 2 years. And it's okay because going through that was better than continuing on the path I was. And it lasted a
Sure.
whole hell of a lot shorter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you stayed on the medical train, you could have been doing that for the rest of your life.
Oh, definitely. I would have, and I would have ended up dying at a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I want
what
to clarify on that. I don't believe pain will kill us. It will make us want to be dead, but it won't kill us. Pain is not terminal by itself.
No, but it can cause a whole host of other medical problems, which just snowballs, and you
Yeah.
don't live
I
as
don't
long.
want people to become afraid of the pain.
No, no,
So,
that's not what I
let's,
meant.
yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
just like to clarify because I know people listening are in various stages of
yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm
vulnerability.
gonna
Oh my
die.
God, but my pain could kill me? No, it's not going to kill you, especially if you start, paying attention to what's actually working and what's actually going on and dialing down the fear. No, it's not going to kill us.
And give yourself grace.
I agree. I've
Every
been using that word a little bit lately.
Yes, grace and kindness. Grace and
Exactly.
kindness. So thank you, Dan, for
All right.
all the help you've given me. Without learning about you, watching you, becoming a part of your group, I would not have been able to get through this
Yeah.
at
Well,
all. And again, thank you to my sister, who's
yeah.
best.
Wendy's awesome.
She's my best friend, and she's one of my angels, and I love her so much. And I wish the best for her and everybody else out there.
Yeah. Wendy's awesome. For
It is.
anybody wondering, Wendy's doing like infinitely better than she was a while ago.
Oh
She
yeah.
stays, she stays because she loves the group.
Mhm.
She loves the people. She loves the support. She loves the weekly reminders, like to keep her on track. So, we've got some other folks who are completely better doing success stories, and they're still in the group because they just love it. It feels like a family. So, somebody sticking around for a year or so, that doesn't mean it's going to take you a year to start noticing benefits. You're going to start seeing benefits much sooner, but some people just like the community aspect of it. So,
Yeah. And
listen, Misty,
before I
go ahead.
started my journey, I saw the proof in Wendy.
Yeah.
That's how
That's
it's.
why these success stories are so powerful because you're now sharing the proof with other people
Yeah.
that this stuff works.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of learning, accepting it's applicable to you, and then teaching your subconscious brain that you're actually okay. It takes a little bit of time. There's ups and downs in the journey. And even once you feel like you're through it and you're on vacation, every once in a while your brain might go, oh, danger. Here's a little symptom.
Mhm.
And what Misty proved in that last story about Hawaii is that we don't have to freak out. We don't have to go into despair. We don't have to buy into the fear. And when we don't buy into the fear, the brain quickly goes, oh, you mean you're okay? All right, good. And lets things go. It's literally how it works.
Mhm.
So that was brilliant. I'm glad you did want to share that extra little story. So thank you, Misty. I really appreciate you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I will link up your Instagram, Misty's underscore barnyard, which is her Instagram profile, and
Yeah.
Misty Weinheimer from Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Real
And
pleasure to know you and work with you. And next time I'm in Nashville, I'm gonna say hello. We're gonna.
yes. Yeah.
All right.
I'll
Well, I
show you a
appreciate
good
it.
time. Woo! I like to go on there.
All right. Appreciate you. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Take care.